Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here. 2 questions. First one is, Abraham, where's my stuff?
Be intended for you in Vibrational Escrow, growing with interest every day, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, calling you louder and louder and louder and louder, patiently acknowledging that in time, even if you have to wait until you croak, you will eventually come into alignment with it.
That's what I'm afraid of. I'll croak and then I'll come into alignment with everything. I've been sending off rockets of desire for almost 15 years before I even knew that they were rockets of desire, and became aware of you probably about 6 months ago, and I've listened to your tapes and watched your DVDs, and I seem to be close to manifestation, but I don't know whether I'm still far away or whether I'm on the verge.
Well, you want to use your processes and images in order to give yourself a happy feeling rather than use them to try to get your stuff. Because when you're fixated on the stuff and the stuff isn't there, you can't help but feel the lack of it, and the lack of it keeps it from coming. So you have to find a way of taking the stuff out of the equation. That's tricky because you're saying, okay, so I know what I want. How do I get what I want? And we say, forget about what you want and just want to be happy instead. Because everything that you want, all that stuff you want, is because you think you will feel better in the having of it. So if you can fixate on the feeling better, whether you have it or not, before you have it, now it has to come. A woman said to us one day, Abraham, I don't think you care if my lover ever comes. I think you want me to get so good at visualizing him that I don't notice that he's not here. And we said, exactly right. Because when you are happy anyway, now he has to come. When you pick up the stick that has any subject, the subject of money, plenty of money on one end, not enough on the other. So you think you're talking about it because you're talking about money, but the way you feel indicates whether you're finding the feeling place of the security and the well-being of plenty of money, or whether you're finding the feeling place of the insecurity and not good feeling of not enough. So it's a matter of focusing your solar plexus, focusing your energy. You're focusing your feeling rather than focusing your thoughts. Because, you see, this is the easiest way to hear this. The contrast caused you to do the asking. You did that. Source has answered and is there holding your stuff. Now, you've got to release resistance, which means you got to let go of thoughts that don't feel good. And the thoughts that don't feel good about your stuff are only, where's my stuff? What's taking so long? Why isn't it coming? What am I doing wrong? Those are upstream thoughts. So let's talk about your stuff. Specifically, what are you most wanting?
I want to find something to do with my life that will benefit others.
So the stuff that you're talking about is a satisfying, meaningful occupation?
Yes.
Calling, cause? Mm-hmm. So, good statement. So, now, give us the normal words that you speak about this subject. We don't want you to tell the story to get to the idea or to get to the vocation or to get to the calling. We don't want you to do this so that you get over there. We want you to do what we want you to do right now with us, just so you'll feel better right now. We just want you to soothe yourself with your own words. So the key is finding the feeling of relief. That's the key. So you've been upstream and you've been that way for a while because you are frustrated, and we understand. But the work is you got to break that bubble of dissatisfaction and make yourself feel a little better. And only you can do it. So try here.
I know that I am on the verge to a new adventure in life that is going to bring me happiness, satisfaction, money, improvement in my relationship with my wife of 40 years.
What's happening is you are believing so much in the power of your word, and you are so carefully articulating, you've decided to even throw in another handful of things that you want.
Why not?
Might as well get the whole list out here. But you still haven't said anything that made you feel any different because you don't know that yet. In other words, you use the word I know and you don't know it. You hope. So don't try to say it in a way that will please us or that will sound good to anyone else. Say it in a way that actually moves a feeling within you.
See, my problem is I'm a skeptic. I'm an inner-born skeptic. So I need to overcome that.
But you shouldn't be a skeptic, because everything you're offering vibrationally is exactly what's happening to you. There's not a shred of evidence to the contrary. And so you say, I'm a skeptic, and we say, yeah, that's why your stuff isn't coming. It's proof. So you got to be less skeptical.
So I got to be a believer.
You just got to be a hoper. You don't even have to be a believer. You just have to be a hoper.
Yeah, I've been a hoper all my life.
You just have to hope, because the vibrational difference between true skepticism and hopefulness is huge. And once you turn into that feeling of hope, just that much relief, you'll start getting evidence, and then you'll start believing. It's sort of where we began here today, isn't it? Earlier we were talking about children, and we want to say to you, be real for your children. Be real for those that you're wanting to assist. Just be real, which means don't pretend that you feel different than you do. You don't see your empty indicator on your gas gauge of your vehicle and feel so discouraged that you put a happy face sticker on it. There, that's so much better. Because you want to know. And so, same thing. We don't want you to use better sounding words. We want you to find words that actually make you feel better. So when you say, I know it's all coming and I know I'll live happily after, we want to say, you don't know that. So don't pretend that you do. Don't pretend it, because trying to take too big of a jump just turns you upstream too. So just try to get hold of a little piece of something that gives you a little bit of relief. You can do it.
Now I know why they call this the hot seat. In myself.
And it's interesting, because we've been very easy on everybody till you.
I knew you were saving your best for me, but that's okay.
You got to note the true injustice in that.
Yes, absolutely.
What it is your readiness to hear this. In other words, you light it up for us. Your asking was way disproportionate to your reluctance. And so we know that if we just focus here with you for a little bit, you're going to have a vibrational breakthrough. And that's why we're not letting you get away with anything.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. I have so much in my life to be grateful for. I'm truly blessed. Things always work out for me, even when they seem desperate, and I don't think, I'm going to find my way out of it. There's always a solution. There's always an answer.
Oh, you can feel that, can't you? He means this. You mean that. And there's relief in that. In other words, that was a downstream statement from where you were. A truly downstream statement. Wasn't the best statement we've ever heard. It wasn't even close. But it was the perfect statement for you. It was just exactly the right statement. You found the feeling of where you were, and you improved it. Now, keep going if you want to.
I know things are going to get better day by day. Things are going to come into my existence. I'm confident of that.
I'll know it when I see it. I'm getting pretty good at this. I'm getting the hang of this. I realize I don't have to fix it all at once.
I know
it's just a matter of getting pointed in the right direction, and I've already done that. And anytime I get turned upstream, I'll recognize that again, and I can
do. And then I stop myself immediately and turn, try to think of something positive, try to think of something that makes me feel better. Because I know, again, that you can't go from here to here in one step. You need to do it slowly, one small step at a time. And that's how I try to live each and every day, is one small step at a time, feeling better about doing what I'm doing and being more and more grateful for what I've got and accepting where I am today.
So there you have it. In other words, that is the work. And it was a little slow going in the beginning, because as 2 or 3 people have pointed out, why am I so stubbornly focused where I am? And we say, you're not stubborn. It's that law of attraction is just giving you those thoughts because that's where you've been for a while. But with a little effort, did you see how you broke loose into a whole other place? And then with a little more effort, did you see how you broke loose into a whole other place? Do you know how much vibrational difference you made just sitting here? It's huge, you see. Huge. Your whole entire point of attraction has shifted just since you made that small effort. And the evidence will reflect it. So you won't go away saying, oh yeah, I had an exercise and I spoke better words, but it's the same old, same old. You'll say, I felt something shift, and the evidence of my life is backing that shift up. I'm getting different manifestational indicators now that my vibration has shifted. Don't you just love it? We've enjoyed this interaction, have you? Yes. It's been a little slow going in the sense that we've not been tiptoeing through small issues, have we? Been talking about the big ones, or what you call the big ones. And we want to remind you that it's the day-to-day responses that you have to the things that are not so much the big ones that set up your vibrational readiness for life experience. In other words, you don't lose your connection with Source only when your father dies. You lose your connection to Source when you're mad at somebody at work, or when you negatively respond to someone in traffic. Life is not about these big, what feel like turning points. It's the moment-to-moment decision about turning downstream rather than upstream and doing it on purpose that makes up your life experience. The theme of this Art of Allowing workshop is really just lean downstream. It's not put a motor on your boat and hurry downstream. It's not create your own reality or something's gone wrong. It's you are pure positive energy beings who are supposed to feel good, and when you don't, you can't feel really good, but you can lean in the direction of what does feel good. The theme of this gathering has been recognize how I feel and somehow consciously make some point of reference of how I feel right now with a determined feeling to improve the feeling slightly. If you're not willing to acknowledge how this feels, then how can you know if you've found a thought that feels better? And if you haven't found an awareness of where you are and reached deliberately for a better feeling thought, then you haven't quantified your journey. If you can't feel the difference between an upstream thought and a downstream thought from where you are, then you can't tell which way to go toward all the things that you want. It's the simple day-to-day experiences. You've got to decide that you are no longer responsive to conditions, that you are the controller of the way you feel. And you just have to practice it thought by thought by thought by thought by thought. We've noticed just in the time that we've been together today that there's not one of you who does not have awareness of the emotion within you. And it is our promise to you that you will never again experience any kind of emotion, positive or negative, without consciously acknowledging the correlation between what you're thinking and feeling, and very soon what's manifesting in your experience. You have now come back into conscious empowerment of your own life experience. Does that mean that it's all going to be easily downstream for you? No. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for you when you find yourself upstream to turn downstream. We want you to feel all right about that. The last thing in the world that we wanted you to get the impression of is that we think you're doing something wrong when you're pointed upstream. We don't. Upstream is part of the contrasting experience that helps you to differentiate what it is that you want. Upstream is the contrast that you knew would be here. We don't want you to feel bad about finding yourself upstream. We want you to feel glad that you are aware, that you know the difference between upstream and downstream. That's all. Do you think that you will be able to feel the difference when you are complaining about something and when you complain a little less? Do you think that you can tell the difference between a true complaint and an attitude of appreciation? Do you think that you have the ability to move from an attitude of complaint immediately to an attitude of appreciation? Do you think that you can immediately turn like that? You can't. Can you go from something that you really feel complained about to something that you really feel joyful about all at once? You can't.